429 C Street. Today is September 15, 2020. Please silence all electronic devices as a courtesy to those in attendance. Thank you. Public comment. Public comment will be in accordance with the attached policy. Do we have any public comment? No public comment. We'll press on to the study session. SS1 Pavement Management System Update Report. Amanda Champion.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, and City Council. So our Public Works Director previously provided you with a brief summary of our pavement management program update, and I'm here before you tonight to provide a more detailed presentation on the update report on behalf of NCE. They did provide us with this PowerPoint template to which I added some information to hopefully give us a good overview of the process that took place. Unfortunately, they are not able to make it due to COVID-19 restrictions, so I'll do the best I can. So, what is a pavement management plan or system? A pavement management system is designed to provide objective information and use data for analysis so that managers and directors can make more consistent, cost-effective, and defensible decisions related to the preservation of a pavement network, also known as our streets. Let's start with what we hope to achieve with the pavement analysis. We wanted to answer the following questions. What does the city own or maintain? What condition is it in? What repairs are needed and when? And then how much will that cost to do those repairs? And what are the impacts of the different funding levels? So one of the first things NCE needed to do was assess the current condition of our streets. They took inventory and performed pavement condition inspections of the entire streets network. In the industry, the standard used for categorizing the streets is called a PCI, which is a pavement condition index. It's a measurement of the pavement grade or condition and ranges from 0 to 100. So a newly constructed street will have a PCI of 100, while a failed street will have a PCI of about 25 or less. This chart shows the mileage and the weighted average PCI of each functional class of roads in the city of Lemoore. My picture's not showing.
Lost your picture.
Well, I had beautiful pictures. Somehow they've disappeared, but we will get that fixed for when we upload it to the website. So this was an example of Bush Street near Champion and Veterans Park. This road was considered very good. It's between a 70 and 100, very minimal distress. The next one was supposed to be Lamar Avenue between F and G Street. It's considered good. It might have some cracks, weathering. It's still structurally sound, and maybe some oxidation may have occurred. The next one is Cherry Lane, or supposed to be Cherry Lane, from Cottonwood Lane to Orangewood Drive. This is considered good, but on the verge of becoming poor. You see a lot more block cracking and load-related distress, such as maybe a little bit of alligator cracking, rutting, or potholes. And then an example of very poor would have been Humboldt Drive from Far Allen Lane to Marin Drive. A lot of alligator cracking, and it's pretty much on the verge of failure. So, what is Lemoore's overall PCI? Based on NCE's 2019 inspection of the city's average weighted PCI is 71, which reflects a network considered to be in very good condition. So even though the city may have some roads that are considered poor, our average road condition is considered to be very good. None of my images came through. Dang. So I do have a chart, which I will get to you, that shows the percentages of miles that each road class has in the different condition categories. Overall, a little more than 83% of our roads are considered to be good or very good. Since you don't have the image, I'll tell you that the poor category, 15.5% of our roads fall into the poor category, and 1.3% of our roads fall into the very poor category. So how do other cities compare? The city's average PCI of 71 is the second highest within Kings County and is higher than the 2018 statewide average of 65. So we're doing pretty good in comparison to our area and even in comparison to the statewide average. So now that we've discussed where we are today, let's talk about the future, starting with the methodology used for the cost analysis. The right treatment at the right time. History has shown that it costs less to maintain streets in good condition than it does to repair those that have failed. So based on that principle, Street Saver, which is the program NCE has selected to utilize, developed a funding strategy that would improve the overall condition of the streets and maintain it at that level by focusing a majority of the spending on maintaining roads already in good condition. So using this methodology, how much money would the city need in order to bring all of the streets to a state of good repair over 10 years? The city would need $54 million to bring the average PCI of the streets to between the high 70s and the low 80s. This is a scenario if the city had unlimited money. If money wasn't an option and we wanted to bring all of our streets to the best repair that they could be in, it would take $54 million over 10 years. If we did nothing at all, the city's PCI would deteriorate to 48 over the course of 10 years. So we know we don't have unlimited money. So what do we have? The majority of our money used for street repairs comes from gas taxes. And based on estimated revenues, the city has a budget of about $1.6 million. And that's if we use every cent we expect to receive every year and not place any aside for a rainy day. Also, I'd like to note that the full effects of COVID-19 has not been seen on our revenues. My slides didn't print. So the city's budget. So based on the city's budget today, the $1.6 million, over 10 years, our PCI would decrease to about 66, and we would have deferred maintenance. So all the maintenance that we should be doing that we can't afford to do, it accumulates as deferred maintenance. So this is a scenario, how much would we need if we wanted to maintain our PCI at 71? We would need roughly $3.2 million a year to spend on roads to keep our current PCI. If we wanted to improve our PCI to 75, we would need about $4.2 million a year. That was another image of pie charts, just showing that no matter which scenario we chose, the good conditions would still continue to grow while the poor conditions would also grow because we're focusing more on the good streets than we are on the poor streets. So in conclusion, the street network is worth about $154 million. Overall, our streets are in very good condition with a PCI of 71. Our existing budget of about $1.6 million a year is not quite sufficient to keep us where we're at. So we're going to decrease to about a PCI of 66 in over 10 years. And our deferred maintenance will grow to about $37 million. So additional funding from the general fund will be necessary if we want to maintain our PCI of 71. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question for you. The PCI. So on all the towns that you had, Avenel, Huron, Corcoran, and a bunch of towns up there, and they all had a PCI number. Did the same company that gave us our PCI number? What was this one called?
NCE?
Yeah.
They did all of the cities in Kings County. So they did the county and they did Corcoran and Avenel. And I forget the other one, that's Hanford. But the other cities listed on the chart, they collected from the 2018 statewide data source.
And so that was done by someone else?
Yeah, those were done by the.
So they just took someone else's
information from
PC,
2018.
Okay. Gotcha.
But all the ones within the county are from the same study.
Okay. That was my only question as of now.
I guess, go ahead.
I don't have any questions.
Oh, I'm thinking my roads are pretty good out to my house, but I'm thinking of the person who lives on Humboldt where they don't have the PCI on their road that's good at all. And they're thinking, I'm paying taxes too. Why isn't my road getting fixed? Why are we going to spend all this money and I still have a terrible road? I have people talk to me all the time about 19th and Bush and why can't we do something with that? Yada, yada, yada. So I can appreciate that we're taking care of our good roads and not letting them deteriorate, but what are we doing for those roads? And I know we only have an allotted amount of money that we can't just, like you said, if we had money coming out of our ears, we could take care of all that. And obviously we don't, but how are we planning on spending the budget that we have? Are we just trying to keep our good roads good and let our poor roads just keep deteriorating until we have to go brand new?
No, she said that's the most expensive thing to do.
Yeah, but I think the majority of our money's going so that we don't get other roads to that level.
The other thing you have to take into consideration is you will focus also a lot of your money on your arterial and your collector roads because those are more heavily traveled. So at some point, it does just come down to prioritization. You have to look at the ones that are in the most need, but you also have to look at the ones that are going to benefit the most amount of people. When it comes to residential, our PFMDs do collect money to pay for the areas that are in those zones. The actual Humboldt, that's actually in an LLMD zone 3, I believe it is. And unfortunately, when we set the LLMDs up, those did not include street care. So that would be on the general fund. So we would have to come up with money in the general fund to repair those roads when it becomes necessary. That one looks like it might become necessary sooner than others.
To answer your question about what we're going to do, just get things spending. This next year, we are going to deal with Bush Street from 19th and 19th and a half this early spring. We do receive calls, and so we are aware of like Bar Allen Court. You mentioned Humboldt. So what we'll try to do is we'll try to piggyback those smaller projects and try to improve the situation. I think the problem with like that whole Daily subdivision, back when that was constructed, the groundwater was super high. And I think that, it's probably still high. So a lot of that road just doesn't hold up like it would in other cities because of our high groundwater. But we will try to piggyback these miscellaneous roads that we get called and we know that are deteriorating. If we don't do something now, then it becomes a reconstruction project, which becomes expensive.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but we will try to do our best to every year to tackle those off streets, and hopefully, someday they all become either a PFMD, and so we can keep up on the routine maintenance when it needs to be done.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just have a comment. I reviewed the report, which was lengthy. Did some spot checks on some of the streets, and I thought that treatment that you recommended was more or less accurate, although I'm not an engineer and I don't play one on TV. But if any citizen in Lemoore wants to find out what maintenance is going to be happening on their street in the future, it would be in that report, wouldn't it?
Yes, they did ask. It's called a decision tree. So
Reclamite or tar and gravel, or you name it. So if a citizen wanted to know what's in their future sometime down the road, they can look at the study session report.
Yes, the decision tree will list the different categories of road and what the recommended treatment plan for those are. So, yep, that's all included.
That's all I have. Any other questions, comments? Okay, we're adjourned until 7:30.
Thank you.
9 C Street, September 15, 2020. Please silence all electronic devices as a courtesy to those in attendance. Thank you. This is the 7:30 regular session. Call to order. Invocation. Please stand and remain standing for the pledge. Let us pray. Lord, watch over our first responders and protect our citizens from COVID-19. Allow our business meetings to be open to the public soon and guide the city council to better represent the city and help us understand all the consequences of our decision. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilmember Lyons,
Here.
Councilmember Scaldi,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Plord,
Here.
Mayor Neal.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have no closed session report because we had no closed session. Agenda approval, additions and/or deletions.
Nothing.
None? Okay, public comment. Public comment will be in accordance with the attached policy. Do we have any public comment? Anybody from the audience? Pressing on. You have no ceremonial presentation, section 1. Department and city managers report, section 2.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and council members. First up will be Frank Rivera.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Just want to update you on our two water treatment plant projects. Both projects are moving forward well and on schedule. Well, site number 7, which is across from West Hills College, they're ready for permanent power. So as soon as PG&E provides permanent power, they'll start the startup process. So that takes about 2 or 3 weeks. And then hopefully right after that, we will get DTW out to actually go through the testing protocol. We're not sure what that's all about, but we're getting close to getting one on board. Well, number 7, in October, mid-October, it'll be in the wells number 7's current state, which will be ready for permanent power. And then again, a couple of weeks to tweak it, get the equipment up and operating, and then again, invite DDW out to do their testing protocol. So the intention is to have, well number 7 up and running in November, and then well number 11, by January. And then Nathan just received an official extension from DDW, giving us till July of
June 30th, 21.
So we should be okay. So, okay, questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. And I have just a couple quick things. One, couple things coming out of the recreation department. Sheila Taylor has started to launch an Adopt a Planner program. There's information on the recreation website. We've had several people already call in to adopt planners throughout town, and this is not limited to certain areas, but you can adopt things in the downtown. You can do some of the medians throughout our town. And we have a couple areas that do not currently have water supplies to them. So a while back, the city bought a hook truck, and now when we go around and flush hydrants, instead of flushing that water down the drain, we're collecting that water into the water tank, and we'll be establishing routes, and we'll be going and hitting those areas with water, kind of reusing it for some landscaping. So if you're interested in doing that, please get a hold of Sheila in recreation, and she can help guide you through that. Additionally, it's also out, we'll be sponsoring a trunk or treat for Halloween. The intent is to have, she's already partnering with our local communities and nonprofits and a couple of the churches to kind of hold an event in the parking lot at the CMC or potentially over on 19th Avenue, depending on how big it gets, where kids can drive through with their parents in their vehicles, and they can hand their bags out the windows, and we'll drop candy in for them. And additionally, we're also going to host we're calling it a reverse Christmas parade. The intent is to have the floats actually on the side of the road in the curb and gutter, and we'll line D Street, and then families can drive through to observe the floats. So actually the car procession will be the parade, and the floats will be parked on the side of the road. That's been receiving a lot of good publicity online, and it's COVID friendly. So those are the things coming out of rec. So I'd like to thank Sheila for that. And that's it. Thank you.
Any questions? Moving on.
Bring that up later.
Consent calendar, section 3, items considered routine in nature are placed on the consent calendar. They will be considered and voted upon in one vote as one item unless the city council or member of the public request individual consideration. Does a member of the public request individual consideration? Anybody on the council wish to pull an item?
No.
In that case, 3-1, approval minutes, regular meeting September 1, 2020. 3-2, approval budget amendment, Lacey Ranch project, environmental impact report, and processing fees. 3-3, approval, purchase of bioenergizer from Probiotic Solutions. 3-4, approval resolution 2020-32, approving applications for per capita grant funds. 3-5, approval budget amendment and PG&E contracts for the TTHM project. Do I have a motion?
Motion to accept consent calendar or approve
Motion
consent.
from Stuart Lyons. Second from?
I'd like to second that.
Second from Councilmember Scaldi. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Councilmember Stewart.
Aye.
Councilmember Scaldi.
Aye.
Mayor Neal.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Consent calendar is passed. We have no public hearing, section 4, and new business, section 5. 5-1, report and recommendation, approval of the recommendation city position for the 2020 League of California Cities Annual Conference resolution. Anything else?
Good evening again. At the last council meeting, we authorized a voting delegate for this year's League of California Cities meeting. The only item on the agenda to vote from the cities this year is a resolution of the General Assembly League of California Cities calling for an amendment of section 230 of the Communications Decency Act of 1996 to require social media companies to remove materials which promote criminal activities. The thought behind this is that by promoting criminal activities on social media, it can lead to obviously more crime and impact police departments. They're claiming it could be thousands, if not millions of dollars could be saved if this passes. And staff has read it over and we're recommending that we go ahead and support a vote in support of this resolution, but it's really up to council on how they want to direct Mayor Neal to vote during this online meeting.
Any discussion? I have a position on it, and I feel that this is social media is a tool for on both sides. In other words, it's not unusual to hear in the news that social media was used to arrest somebody that committed a crime through something through a window or whatever, and basically it's censorship. If you try to regulate social media, you're going uphill. So my thought is it would just be a waste of time, and it's one of those nice to have, but I don't think it's worth going through the process. That's my opinion.
So in your opinion, would you want to abstain from a vote, or would you
I
vote
would
no?
not support it, so I would vote no on the amendment. Based on censorship and removing a tool that the police department may be able to use to apprehend a criminal. Any thoughts from the council?
I have none.
Hey, if I may,
Absolutely, Mayor, go ahead.
this is to stop crimes from happening, right? If you advertise crimes on social media, it makes it hard for the police department, and it will save us lots of money. Is that right about that? What I just heard from you, City Manager Nathan Olson?
Yeah, so it's promoting criminal activities. So depending on
Yeah. Okay.
It would depend on what
All right.
they're promoting on social media.
Absolutely, okay. I just wanted to verify that with you, okay. I'm done.
I'm kind of swaying towards a no vote, but I can see an argument on both sides. And like I say, I think it'd be trying to roll a stone uphill, and it would be hard to regulate if they did pass it. And, it's one of those things that would be in court forever and just waste taxpayers' dollars. So that's my view. Mayor, did you have a leaning one way or the other on that?
Oh, yes, I did. I was gonna vote yes.
Okay, we have a yes and a no, and
I'm leaning with you, Mayor, that, anything that's going to promote something that's not good for the community, and I'm all about free speech and all that stuff. Awesome. But, I can't go on record and say I'm going to do a crime against certain people in our society based off of, let's say, I'm not going to even say it, but y'all know where I'm going. That you can't legally say that. So if they're promoting crime of any nature, I can't back that. I
okay,
really
so
can't.
you're in favor of the amendment?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to get something from
Um,
Member Lyons.
Well, the one thing that I'm surprised that no one's done, I was going to ask counsel from someone what he thought about it, but are we allowed to do that?
You can take it to the public.
Yeah, you can. You can ask. I assume you mean the police chief.
Yeah, that's what I was.
So this is my personal opinion. I personally believe in the Constitution. Personally believe that it's a constitutional right to voice those opinions. Right, wrong, or indifferent, I don't have to agree with a lot of these things. I don't have to agree with the law, but it is my job to support and defend the Constitution. And that's really my standpoint on it. It's a First Amendment freedom, and until otherwise, that's what I swore to support and defend.
I kind of agree.
So you would be opposed to it?
Yeah,
So we have a
split.
Split
a
decision.
tie here, so
Did you want to open it up to the public, see if anybody submitted a comment?
So-
I could, but I don't need to.
Well, it's listed as new business. I would just recommend you ask the clerk.
She has nothing.
Okay, so does anybody have any, we'll go ahead and open it up to the public. Does anybody have any opinion one way or the other on how we should break this tie or have their own opinion?
I have received no public comments for this item.
No public comment? Okay. Then I will close the public comment. Does anybody wish to reconsider their decision? If we have a 2-2 tie, there would be a no vote on the amendment.
That's correct, or council could choose to abstain, but that would need consensus if you're going to abstain.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and,
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm kind of for it and against it at the same time.
Ditto.
so you want to change your vote?
Well, no, you
Okay.
just wait. I'm going to go ahead and abstain.
I'm on the same lines as Councilmember Lyons. Again, I'm all about the Constitution and people have the right to speak but when you're doing it in a negative light and possibly
Absolutely.
harming, hurting another person, another group, I can't, in my right mind, stand behind something that supports that. I just can't. So I'm still in favor of it. I'm Also, kind of like Chief said, I support the Constitution, all about it, but there's got to be limits to free speech. I mean, you can't just say whatever you want without ramifications.
So what are you saying?
I'm saying I'm still voting yes.
Okay, so then you have it 2-1.
Well, maybe Mayor Neal changes his mind,
Oh, I'm sorry.
or Mayor Pro Tem.
So can you abstain? That's the
Well, I
question.
don't know. You asked me if I
You
wanted
can
to.
absolutely abstain.
It was to abstain from even voting on this resolution,
Oh.
to direct
I,
the mayor to abstain from voting on the resolution was what I was referring to.
So,
okay.
so what we have is a 2 for and a 2 against the amendment. And with that, under the rules, if you have a tie, it's a no vote.
That's correct.
So do we want to vote on directing the mayor to vote no for the city, or do we want to direct the mayor to abstain from the vote?
And that's up to council.
Let's ask the mayor what's your view, Mr. Mayor?
Oh, yeah, I'm not trying to push religion, but the law is so ungodly. And if we're going to sit there and say, because the Constitution to uphold behavior of that's against the law, and we're trying to support the police department, it's absolutely not right to me. That's my perception. So only reason I'm saying yes on this, because if somebody's doing criminal activity on whatever social media, to me, it's a yes. So that's why I'm saying yes. I'm going to stand by my word.
So
Okay,
Mayor
so
Pro Tem, I would actually recommend a motion on this one since you
I-
have such division.
I think we'll go ahead and make a motion that unless somebody else wants to, I'll go ahead and make a motion that the city abstain from the vote since we have a tie. And if we vote no, then that's a no vote. If we abstain, that probably doesn't matter one way or the other anyway, so.
Well, why don't I end it and say I'll make a motion that we approve to vote yes?
Yes.
And
I second.
and have it voted
I
down.
second.
So hold on, you have one motion pending. You have to wait and see if
Okay.
there's a second on that motion, and then we can move on to the next
I second.
motion. Hold on, Mayor, you have Mayor Pro Tem that made a motion to
Abstain.
have the voting delegate abstain on this item when they get to the league meeting. And so we'll wait to see if there's a second.
Hearing no second, is there another motion?
Oh, well, no, wait a minute. I didn't, yeah, I'll second your motion.
You'll second a motion. The motion was to, since we had a 2 for and 2 against, that we would vote to abstain or recommend that we vote to abstain. Therefore, we're not really voting at all, which I guess we can do. And you're seconding that vote, okay?
That motion, yes.
Yeah. Any discussion on the motion?
So our choice now is to abstain or not vote? Is that kind of what we're going
You have a
down to?
pending motion, and we
Yes,
need to
ma'am.
see if that motion passes or not. If
Yeah,
the motion
we-
doesn't pass, then we could entertain a different
So did we
motion.
get a second on that motion?
Yes,
Yeah.
there was a second, Mayor.
We have discussion on the motion.
Okay.
Councilmember Lyons seconded, I made the motion. The 2 for votes and 2 against, so we were going to have a motion to, which I made, was to abstain from the vote at the.
Wow.
So I will go ahead and vote aye on my motion, and Councilmember Lyons?
Aye.
Councilmember Scaldi?
No.
Councilmember, or Mayor Neal?
No.
Okay, we
So
have,
that motion dies.
that motion did not pass. Do we have another motion on the
I'd
floor?
like to make a motion that we approve saying yes to the agenda item on California League of Cities.
Councilmember
I'll second.
Scaldi, seconded by Mayor Neal. Any discussion on it? The motion was to vote in favor of the amendment. Council, any discussion on the motion? Councilmember Scaldi,
Aye.
Councilmember, or Mayor Neal,
Aye.
Councilmember Lyon,
Aye.
and I vote no. Motion passes. The mayor is directed to vote yes on the amendment.
Thank you, Councilor.
Outstanding. Next item on the agenda is 5-2, discussion and direction, Downtown Merchants Association Committee.
Actually, I'll be taking
You're
this
going
one.
to take that?
Yeah, I'll take
All right.
Okay, so we received a letter from one of the members of the Downtown Merchants Association, and it was in your packet. I'm sure you've all read it, but I'd like to point out kind of just two statements in it. For example, these items have appeared on our agenda and minutes as often supplemented by staff reports such as parking, one-way streets, beautification, blight, trees planters, maintenance, irrigation, music service, and overall revitalization of business improvement. Their scope already includes a lot of those things that are happening. What we found over the years, or at least since 2017, or actually probably since the RDA was disbanded, is we're not as efficient and probably serving our community the best we can under the current setup. When the RDA was intact, they actually had a downtown coordinator that was paid by the RDA for about 10 hours a week that could coordinate and do different things. That doesn't happen a lot anymore, and if it does, it falls on staff, and staff right now, we're pretty thin as it is. So what we'd like to, and this is for direction, the DMA is asking for an ordinance change to give them broader authority to bring different recommendations to council outside of what's in their current purview. In the last 4 years, since 2017, there's been 35 scheduled meetings, only 9 have been held. So part of this, the city was asked to collect on behalf of the downtown merchants so basically there's a double tax. When you go in for your business license, you pay double if you're in the certain zone that makes up downtown. The city gets their fee, and then the other half gets used for downtown improvements, planners, advertisement, events, music, tourism, things like that to promote the downtown. We're looking for direction. So the choices could be kind of leave as is. You could direct staff, or you could direct us to bring back an ordinance change and grant broader authorities from the DMA. But staff's recommendation is that we'd like to disband the DMA and see them go out and become a nonprofit and then enter an MOU with the city. That way we can still collect on their behalf. And quarterly, like we do with the chamber, like at King's EDC, we could pay them, and then they're their own nonprofit that benefits the downtown area. Because right now they're subject to everything the city has to be subject to as far as purchasing, the Brown Act, all the rules, and it's a little cumbersome when you get that many different people trying to get them together. In past years, it was a 9-member committee or advisory committee. Quorums were tough to get. We knocked that down to a 5-member committee, and we're still having a hard time getting quorums. There's been 9 scheduled meetings this year. They've held 3. So there's some waste there. I think we can find a way to still enhance our downtown and promote our downtown and collect those funds, but do it more efficiently. So it's direction from council on how you want to do this. They do report to you as an advisory committee.
So I have a question. What are they currently wanting to discuss, or that they're, what issues are they having their hands tied on?
So in the letter, they kind of point out, let me see. Sorry, I got to get it up here. My eyes aren't as good as they used to be. You're pulling it up? Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's page 248.
So they're claiming it's become evident that the city viewed the DMAC scope was limited to just oversight of the PBIA Downtown Business Improvement Fund. This runs counter to what the DMAC has actually been responsible for historically. So I currently read above what they've been doing. If you look in the ordinance, I think it's in 32-3, They do have, maybe not so much on, it is in there for parking, for events, promoting tourism, making sure there's trash receptacles, places for people to sit. They do have a pretty broad scope already. I do know in light of the recent like sales tax, I know that they wanted to come forth. I believe the intent was as a downtown merchants, they wanted to like have a say if for council to vote if we should even take that 1% to the voters or not. And we kind of let them know at the time that's not really what this advisory committee is about. Although as individual residents of the town, they can participate any way they want. As far as blight and whatnot downtown and the appearance of the buildings, you know, that's really pride and ownership for the business owners. At least in my opinion, to help with that. Several years ago, we did take an action to the downtown merchants. It was similar to the like sidewalk share program, where if somebody wanted to fix the landscape up or fix the front of their building, the fascias up, that maybe, you know, we come up with either a $500 or $1,000 match to help enhance that in downtown. And they weren't interested in that. You know, the members at the time, and it's not the existing current, but an older committee, they couldn't make a decision. So I think there's a better way of doing it. I really think there is. So
I can appreciate the fact that you're trying to make it easier on them by making them a nonprofit, but at the same time, I mean, that's not what they're asking for. They're asking for a little bit more ability to, you know,
Ownership.
to mold themselves. Yeah. And I'm almost kind of worried that by doing that, there might be other issues that are created by doing that aren't really foreseen. Okay, so I do have one more question. The advisory committee, who's on the advisory committee as of right now?
Judy, can I refer to you on that? I know three. I don't know. I know them, but I can't think of them off the top of my head.
Madashi?
Shelby?
Robbins.
Okay, from the hair.
Dashi,
Jeff Garcia.
Jake German. Yeah, there's only 4 on right now because we've already had one this year that came to, I think, one meeting, came to a second meeting, and then he got called out. So he resigned.
There's nothing to preclude them from sending a letter to the city council on any item that they think that council needs to know about, is there?
That's right. Any downtown merchant, if they want to come to a city council meeting, well, when they're allowed to come to a city council meeting, but they could send a letter, an email. They can get a hold of any of you. If they have an issue, they can come to you. They can bring it to your attention. They are wanting to give the actual advisory committee more authority.
Well,
I believe
I'm just
if you
asking if the downtown merchants can, you know, do they need anything to submit to the council just to let the council know their opinion on something? Does it need to be in our municipal?
So I would defer to the city attorney. They do have like a scope and purview of what they're supposed to advise on. So my take would be they need to stick to within that scope, but now as individuals, they could comment on anything they want. As an advisory committee, I believe they'd have to stick with the scope of what's in the ordinance.
So that's actually my recommendation, is that they stick with what their scope is as stated in the municipal code. If you wanted to change that scope, we would make an amendment to the municipal code, bring it back to council. Or if council wanted to disband it, same exact process. It just depends on what that amendment to the municipal code says.
So what all went into this letter? Did they have to have a vote on this letter to present it, or did someone just, they had consensus on it? Because I want to give them what they want. I want my downtown to do as good as possible, and if they feel like this is going to help them do better, I mean, I have to say I'm leaning towards letting them have it, but
I don't know if they should have
Yeah, no, I
say
understand.
about one-way streets and everything like that
No.
without taking into consideration traffic.
Well, yeah, they're not going to have outright authority. They still have to get it through council,
Yeah,
correct?
and currently, the way the ordinance is written, the chief of police actually has authority over parking and traffic and street signs and limitations on parking. That's, our ordinance is set up that way. Now, we did try to have, because we're looking at some 2-hour different parking things downtown that we're getting ready to kind of revise as people of downtown has come to us. We were taking that to the DMA to have a discussion with them, to put them in part of it. We weren't required to do that, but we were bringing them in, but the meeting was canceled last minute, so we weren't able to meet with them on that.
What if we changed our meetings from monthly to quarterly? And if they need meetings in between their normal quarterly meetings, they can have a special meeting. And that would be up to them, but still keep their area of responsibility as it is now. Just change their meetings from monthly to quarterly. And then nothing really changes other than the quarterly meetings.
Yeah, this is for direction only, to kind of direct staff how you want us to proceed. So everything's on the table.
I think that when you basically separate them from the city should separate from them and not collect any money on their behalf, because that would say, Chamber of Commerce might say, well, you're collecting funds for that outside group. You should make every business in the city pay us a membership fee. That is using the same logic, and I don't like it. So if they want to separate, they didn't say they wanted to separate. They just said that they wanted more authority to have access to the municipal code. But I think if we leave everything the way it is and just change their meetings to quarterly and a special meeting as required, then maybe it might get better attendance at the meetings. And it'd be less administrative work for the people. It'd have to do all the paperwork for every meeting that's canceled. That paperwork still needs to be done. So that's my thought.
I'd like to table this one and bring it back. That's what I want.
So
I'd like to also table it. I think that's a great
Yeah,
idea
do you
where
have
we
a
can talk to the
motion,
DMA.
do you have a motion to table then?
Well, I didn't make a motion. It was just an idea.
Hold on. Can
Okay,
I say something?
Absolutely, go ahead.
Excuse me?
go ahead.
Okay. Nathan, city manager Nathan, Olson. Okay. How many meetings have they been coming to since they've been, I've been on the council almost 10 years. How many meetings have the downtown merchants attended? Because I remember they used to come a lot, and I haven't seen them in the last 5-6 years.
So, Mayor Neal, we only went back to 2017, but in 17, they had 6 scheduled meetings. In 18, 9 scheduled meetings. In 19, 12, and 8 so far in 2020. So out of 35 scheduled meetings, 9 have been held. So 9 out of 35.
Wow. Okay. In order to get authority, you gotta earn authority. That's just my perception. We want to work with everybody, but if it's going to save us money, and we ain't trying to take away from somebody, but he opened up my eyes a little bit when he said, if we do it for them, we have to do it for other businesses. Is that the case?
No. It's an option. It's something that could be asked, but it's.
Yeah, it could be an argument. This whole thing started because originally they were trying to get businesses to pay into a fund just for this specific purpose. And most business owners did not opt into the program.
In order for them to get revenue, to have a DMA, we had to find a mechanism for them to do it. Kept our portion of the tax, and they got into an account that they could use.
What events have they done? What have we looked at that? Have we looked at anything they brought to? Because I know that's what we want to look at. What have they brought to the city of Lemoore?
So it takes care of the planners downtown. They pay for the landscaping downtown. And I know last year they gave, I believe it was $3,000 to the chamber to hold the holiday. Come to my mind right now.
Boy. Okay. You guys just make your decision how you guys want to make. Okay. I just want to see, are they doing a lot of things to help our city or downtown business friendly, what they're doing? And that's all. I'm just asking quick hypothetical questions just to see how you see it, because you're city manager and you probably can tell us more about the downtown merchants. That's what I'm asking for. That's why I asked you that.
Well, I definitely think there's value, but I think there's ways to be efficient about it. And, you know, what we really need is regularly attended meetings and to get some results out of the meetings. I think there's value in all the partnerships and value in having a downtown merchants association.
When is the next scheduled meeting for DMA?
Next month.
September was
just
canceled.
supposed to be last Thursday.
We had a quorum for September, staff prepared to go, and then kind of in the last couple days before it got canceled, correct?
Out
The
of
one for September.
35 meetings, they came to 9?
Out of 35 scheduled, yes, they came to 9. But in 2019, let's see.
Hold on.
In 2019, they didn't have a quorum because a lot of people dropped out and nobody applied.
What is the next scheduled meeting? October
8th,
October 8th.
Thursday.
Okay, well, I just wanted the council to know all the ins and outs about it. Maybe they didn't know that. That's all I have.
What time is October 8th meeting and where is it held?
6:15 here in the chambers.
Okay. That's what I thought. I was just making sure.
I'd like to make a motion that we table this conversation and get in touch with the DMA, either at that meeting or on our own, and figure out.
Mayor,
Act violation.
Mayor Pro Tem, can you open it to the public first before you motion?
Okay. Let's go ahead and open it up to the public for public comment. City Clerk, do we have anybody? No? Nobody in the room? I'll close the public comment. And do we have a motion?
I would like to make a motion that we table this discussion until
October 20th.
October.
I second.
A motion from Councilmember Scaldi, a second from Mayor Neal. Any discussion on the motion?
I would just like to caution council about going and talking to each one individually because it could be a Brown Act violation since it is an advisory committee subject to the Brown Act. So just be cautious about that. And if my recommendation would be to address them at their actual meeting, if you're going to address them.
So if I get a response from a member of the DMA, I shouldn't respond at all from an individual?
If it's less than a quorum, similar
So
to,
if one
with
downtown
council.
business emails me,
that's fine,
I can respond.
correct.
Okay.
And I'm talking about your members of so if you currently have 4 members, to talk to 2 of them could be an issue.
Okay,
But to talk to individual businesses, that's different.
just the members of the committee.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
The October 20th is the next meeting of that?
No, yeah,
October 8th.
is the next city council meeting following that would be
Their
the
meeting would be
20th.
The 20th, yeah.
So we couldn't bring,
On the motion, those, we have to understand that people on the city council shouldn't directly talk with the committee, right?
Shouldn't directly talk with a majority of the committee and then have that discussion among a majority of the
So they
council
shouldn't-
members
they
outside of a
shouldn't-
noticed
They
meeting.
shouldn't wander into their meeting and make a presentation.
You can but you need to make that position clear when you're standing at the podium that you're speaking as a.
And so a representative from the city will bring this item up at their meeting, their next meeting, and discuss what, basically what we're talking about up here today, and let them mull that over.
Okay. Well, hopefully the DMA actually has a meeting on October 8th.
I have a funny feeling they will now.
Well, I'm hoping so.
If they don't, it makes it easier for the council, that's all. But in any case, let's go ahead and table this. Councilmember Scaldi?
Aye.
Mayor Neal?
Aye.
Mayor Neal? Okay. Mayor Neal, aye.
Aye.
Okay. Councilmember Lyons?
Aye.
And I vote aye. It is tabled. We are adjourned until October 6th.
You have city council reports.
Don't we have councilman request?
City
Right.
council reports.
The brief reports.
Okay, never mind. Don't go.
It's okay.
I'm 15 minutes late already, and I'm gonna make it later. Okay, so, Councilmember Lyons, do you have a report?
The only thing that I really have to report on right now is, the census. I think it's almost done with and over with by now, but that and the fires with everybody, be mindful of your outside conditions, stay safe, and that's all I really have right now.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Scaldi.
I'd like to go on record about the reverse parade, and I'm all about the parade, but I want to have a parade, and I don't think that a reverse parade is the answer. I don't think you're going to bring a sense of community. I think you're going to see a lot of organizations not wanting to participate. And I obviously nobody can answer this, but have we thought about maybe extending the parade route from possibly Follett all the way down to 19th Avenue, where we can have more social distancing or something?
Yeah, so I didn't get into the details on it, but that's absolutely the intent, is to have it spaced out. There's limits to how many people can be on floats. I believe it's 5 max. So that's been considered, and then it'll be families in their vehicles. So yeah, there are parameters around it to make it safe.
No, I'm saying where people camp out all the way down deep, and we still have the floats, we still have the band, we still have the Shriners, we have the karate school.
Right.
I'm saying to extend it where, the Macy's Day Parade is like, those guys are marching 3 miles or whatever it is. We can go 3/4 of a mile to have a traditional parade, in my humble opinion. And again, I haven't really talked to anybody about this, but I don't see the reverse parade where you're sitting in your car driving by a float. Yay. It's a sense of community. It's a sense of pride. Just my humble opinion. I know this is supposed to be brief. I'm sorry for going on a tangent.
Might be some logistics involved in, manning the barricades and keeping the streets closed.
So this is turning into a discussion. So my recommendation would be to agendize it
There we go. Then I'd
for
like to,
further discussion.
That's why she's our city attorney.
there you go. That's why you get paid the big bucks. I would like to move to make a motion that I just want to put this on agenda. There.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Fair.
I don't think
in the
we
next
need a vote
meeting?
on that. It's not on the agenda, and
Okay,
and
good.
he can agendize it.
Correct.
And then to end it, that's it. Thank you, guys.
Okay,
Taking
I'm
your
going to
time.
save the last word for the mayor. I have nothing to report. Mayor Neal?
Yes, go back to handing out candy to the kids with their mothers and fathers, the single parents as well. Ain't no way you can put, no, I'm sorry, Nathan Olson. Ain't no way we can put no advertisement up, be safe, even with when they in their cars and vehicles, they have their masks on when they receive the candy and what's out. Can we advertise a safe haven, with the mask and that kind of thing, or what do you think? Just a question. Hypothetical question.
How about we just bring that back with the Christmas parade and have a discussion about it?
Okay.
Is there going to be enough time? on-
Mayor Neal, any other comments?
I think that was it. Long now. Okay, that's it.
Okay, then
Okay, God bless everyone.
that concludes our business for today. Our next meeting is October the 6th at 7:30, so we are adjourned.